tensions escalating between the United States and Iran, with reports that rockets were fired into Baghdad's green zone, located just less than a mile from the U.S. Embassy. You had President Trump tweeting, "If Iran wants to fight, that will be the official end of Iran. Never threaten the United States again." So we've got to get Kansas Congressman Steve Watkins, who serves on the House Foreign Affairs Committee and is also an Army veteran. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Do you think, first off, I'm just concerned about the timing. Why do you think the president put this tweet out over the weekend? What prompted him? Is it just to outline the U.S.'s red lines? Like, why did he put that out right now, this tough talk?
Well, listen, the Iranian regime employs terrorism as its main tool of statecraft, and we're used to that. They've sponsored terrorism to the tune of $1 billion a year, and we're used to that. But what they're not used to is a president that pushes back instead of giving them pallets of cash.
Congressman, this is Mark Lauder from the Trump-Pence campaign, and one of the things that has worried me is that we've had many Republicans and a handful of Democrats come out who have seen the intelligence, that have recognized the need for the president's strong response, but others are trying to call question into that. And when you're dealing with classified information, as you know, you're not at liberty to discuss it. And I think that just causes dissension. Do you think anything, even like an international crisis or tension, could actually bring Congress together behind this president to show strength?
Absolutely, that's possible. And to those who would respond differently, they haven't had the same experience as I have. I've spent almost 9 years on the ground dealing with Middle Eastern strongmen. And when they push, you got to push back.
Congressman, it's Liz Peek. Thank you for joining us. As to Christina's question, it does seem like over the last week, let's say, there have been a number of provocative actions taken by Iran, including most recently intelligence that they've been quadrupling their production of enriched uranium. It does seem like they are trying to provoke the president. The question, I guess it was, have you seen any intelligence about dissent in the country of Iran? I've got to think that the cutback on Iranian oil exports, the economic hardship that they're enduring right now, might lead to some dissension. Is that anything you've heard anything about?
Well, I'm not at liberty to discuss the secret or top secret information that we hear about, but, you know, they are the leading sponsor of terrorism, to include Hamas, Hezbollah, Palestine Islamic Jihad, the Al-Ashtar brigades, the Houthi, who have sabotaged Saudi oil rigs and oil processing facilities. And so this response is not just our American president, but also the Saudi president. Salman has called an emergency summit of Arab leaders to try and prevent Iran's efforts to destabilize the region.
Congressman, thank you for being with us, and thank you especially for your service to this country. You just said it. Look, Iran is the #1 state sponsor of terrorism all throughout the world, and government is a gun. This is what they're for. Guns don't belong in the boardroom. They don't belong in the bedroom or hospitals or schools. They belong fighting America's enemies. Do you, or should I say, would you support something not dissimilar to what Ronald Reagan did in 1986 as a preemptive strike against Libya? Would you support that type of maneuver against Iran to really clearly send a message America is not to be threatened?
Listen, it's too early to talk about preeminent attacks. Listen, I trust in the wisdom, experience, and competence of Secretary Pompeo, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Dunford, and the Acting SecDef Shanahan. We're going to let them do their jobs and hope for peace, hope for the best.
Congressman, this is Gary Kalpam. I'm going to ask the opposite question. Before it gets real hairy, what kind of an off-ramp in secret talks with Iran, do we give them at this point in time so we can lower the temperature before this really does get out of hand?
No, you're absolutely right. We do need to lower the temperature, and to do so, we have postured well. We've floated, obviously, the carrier USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group into the region. Now, to de-escalate, the ball's in their court. We want peace, and we're hoping they do too.
Congressman, I can't help but make a comparison with North Korea and this kind of tough talk that we saw with North Korea, and I think we can rightly say that we haven't really seen any positive outcome. Well, I guess the outcome that we were hoping for. So why is the president channeling that too? And does he really think that Iran is going to react the same way as North Korea?
Now, to ask that you compare President Trump's approach with President Obama, who gave him some $150 billion to include a few of those in cash. Now, listen, again, I know Middle Eastern strongman. I know how to deal with them. I dealt with them almost my entire professional career in Iraq and Afghanistan. And when they push, by God, you got to push back.
So, Congressman, if you were in charge, what would you be doing?
I'd be doing just what our president's doing. I would make it crystal clear that we're not going to put up with these heightened tensions. And if they were responsible for the missile strike that came close to our embassy in Baghdad, then that is absolutely unacceptable. I've been in the green zone. I've been under attack and in the duck and cover bunkers when rockets are raining down. And as a prior tactical operator, I'm very pleased with our president's decisions.
Congressman, thank you so much for your service and for joining us this evening. I'm hoping you'll be back, right?
Hope so. Thanks.